There's just something about lemonade, Rick. It just puts a smile on your face, you know?
Is your spiked? Is your spiked though?
No, I'm still on coffee. It's Mojo Monday, man.
Oh, that's right.
Coffee in the morning, you know?
It's not fluffy Friday afternoon, is it?
No, it's Mojo Monday. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thanks, Brad. How are you today?
Good. Today's probably not my favorite topic, but probably a really important topic. And I'll say why in a minute. But we're kind of breaking down the wheel of life, and not just what the wheel of life is, but really just kind of talking about what shaped our thinking around the different aspects of the wheel of life. And I know you've got a book coming out sooner than later. We'll put it out there online so everybody knows your book's coming out, to give you a little pressure to get it out. But the concept of the wheel of life is just such a powerful concept. Anything you'd like to add just real quick?
Well, it is. And the wheel of life is like the wheel on your car. If you've got a flat spot or a chunk of rubber missing out of part of it, which would represent one of the spokes, you can't really outrun it. I mean, there's certain speeds it's less discernible, but ultimately it's going to backfire and you're going to blow a tire, and that wrecks all of the other aspects that feel like you're winning. So just the idea is a holistic win in life is the greatest win possible. And we want to help encourage taking a wide angle look at all aspects. And health is one of them, which is today's topic.
Which would be why it's not always my favorite topic. Because if I'm being honest with myself, and you do the little wheel of life and rate yourself 1 to 10, I wouldn't necessarily say this is my strongest area, yet awareness is key, right?
It is. And health is one of those things where it's not a big deal till it is. Like a lot of people are, the creator, however we got here and however we were created, we're created with a tremendous amount of resilience. And we learn to accept and adopt, this, a little bit of pain here, a little bit of discomfort there, a little bit of weight here. And that's just part of life. And, and maybe it is for a while. But the one thing, you can accumulate assets in every other category. But health is one of those where once you lose it, it's really almost impossible to buy it back. So maintenance is a big deal, and being aware of things that are subtle and then they're, slowly, then suddenly become a big issue.
Yeah. And one of the concepts we talked about last week is this being purposeful. And last week we were talking about fun and recreation, and, it's not going to happen unless you're just purposeful about making that happen. Health's kind of the same way, right? Like, you don't just expect to be healthy. Like, you have to be purposeful about making certain choices and changes in life to be healthy. And I know we're going to give them a quick 1 to 5 prescription check-in around health today. But just the concept of being purposeful, man, I could live my day and it would never even go through a thought if I didn't purposely make sure it was a part of my day, right?
Exactly. And we set goals, and most of us, script out our lives with some element of detail relative to, again, especially at work and work related matters. And you invest 8 to 10 hours, grinding to try to hit those goals. And then, somewhere we're expecting ourselves to just find, 10, 15 an hour, to recuperate around health and fitness. And it doesn't usually work that way. If it's the last thing on the list, it's the first thing to get deferred and delayed. So hopefully the idea today is just to create an ounce of improved awareness and maybe script it into that plan before it becomes a defaulted wish.
Yep. And I mean, the concept of self-mastery, you got to figure out how to make these things fit you. So whether it's moving the alarm clock across the room so your butt's got to get out of bed to go turn it on or turn it off, or having a peer partner that meets you at the gym, or you hiring a trainer, or you do one of these little Apple watches that tells you stand up or move around or drink more water, or even just like a MyFitnessPal app, like tracking what food you're putting in your body. There's so many little things that in this industry is $1 billion industry that's always coming at us, but you got to find what works for you and just go with it. Right.
Exactly.
And, Rick, we probably should just take a minute and disclaim we're not doctors, and any of the advice we give today is just our own personal experiences, and consult somebody way smarter than us. But we're just talking about how we think about health and what's gone our life journey and how it shaped us, right?
Yeah, that was a great disclaimer, Brett. And most of my perception around health is, paying attention to my own body and things that I respond well to and are willing to commit to, and I can feel the reward. And it's supported by a coach, Coach Rami. Rami O'Day was my fitness coach for years, and I check in with him regularly. And so if anybody is interested in a fitness coach and a free consultation around health and a holistic view of health, it's coachrami.com, CoachRami.com. You'll find him, and he lives to help people have a bigger, better, more positive physical experience in this world. So, and then books, Younger Next Year. A friend of mine recommended, let's see if I can get it to come in. It doesn't work very well, does it? Oh, well, there it is. Younger Next Year. And I just bought this book, Chris Crowley and Henry Lodge. So, it's like anything else. You're only as good as your knowledge and then commitment to putting that knowledge to work. Yeah. So make health become a student of the game and health. Step one.
And I'd like to just say that there's also another connection here, which is you got to understand your motivation in this, right? And sometimes your motivation is the doctor tells you if you don't do it, you're going to die. And you're like, okay, I better get in shape. Or, hey, you're pre-diabetes if you don't lose weight, or, there's always those heavy pain motivations, but sometimes it's just competitive and wanting to compete in the next half marathon or the Peachtree Road Race or whatever it is. All that being said, you got to find that connection to the motivation to move us in this direction. All right. 1 to 5. Let's go there. What's our prescriptive 5 around health?
So here are the 5 things. 1 is regular doctor visits, especially as you start to age. There's subtle things that go on metabolically and inside there's clues inside your blood and in your body, and there are things that we can't check ourselves. And so I make an annual physical. It's just on my day planner and it happens. And thankfully, my doctor reminds me and makes sure that I'm aware of my appointment. But he sent me in for a full body scan where they do this scan of your heart and all the arteries, and it was amazing. So 3 years ago, I did it, came back with a perfect bill of health. I did it again this year and came back with a 5% blockage or element of something in one of the arteries, which isn't a big deal. But he reminded me that particular one is called the Widowmaker, and you just don't ignore or deny that fact. And he said, so now here's what we can do. But if you waited 3 more years, it might be at a different level. And next thing you know, I only find out because I'm on the ground and, having a heart attack. So doctor visits so that they can get out in front of the curve of things that might be genetically predisposed in your body that others may or may not have. And, again, you don't know until you know, and it's better to know in advance. They can fix things.
Absolutely. The analogy on that's kind of like my shower drain, Rick. It drains most days, and then all of a sudden one day it doesn't drain, and it's too late, right?
That's right.
And hairs blocks it or whatever. And doctors really are able to give us the clues and the knowledge ahead of time so we can go do something about it before it's too late. Thank you for that. Number
absolutely.
2.
So one other thing to add to that, if you get out in front of it, a lot of things can be resolved with healthy, natural choices, whether it's exercise or more fluids or change in diet. When it's a significant issue, then you're probably resigned to, more aggressive medical and, intrusive choices that may not be as good for you long-term as well. I don't know if you watch those ads for all the different medications on TV, but I can't help but choke when I hear the disclaimer about all the things, the side effects. You're like, everything all the way down to heart attack and die. And you're like, but we're trying to control anxiety. Yeah. That gave me anxiety just hearing it.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is sleep.
The next subject is sleep.
Sleep.
Number 2 is sleep. And, I think when we're young, we don't pay so much attention to sleep. And at some point in time, you kind of create an awareness around this one that says sleep is the one thing that creates the balance in our awake hours against this, when we rest and our body rests and regenerates and all the above, right?
Yeah, it may be the number one thing that if you do effectively to extend life and create more joy, if you want to really get, upset with the world, start depriving yourself of sleep and everything becomes an annoyance. Your capacity to absorb that stress goes down significantly. And some key things around sleep are try to avoid blue screens and things that send messages to your brain right before you go to sleep because it'll stay awake and active. The other is avoid caffeine and certain things in your diet that also upset sleep patterns, after lunchtime, make it an early event if that's your go-to.
Absolutely. All right. Number 3 is water, drinking water. And most dietitians will tell you you're supposed to drink, what is it? Half your body weight in ounces a day. That's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water. I mean, 120 or 30 ounces if you're a big guy like me. But I commit to it and I keep a jug filled and on my desk. The interesting thing too is about water is if you drink enough water, you're less likely to eat. People often confuse dehydration with hunger. And so they reach for food instead of water. So if you feel hunger and you want to cut back on maybe some of your food choices that don't favor you because you're in snack mode, drink a big glass of water and then give yourself 10 minutes to see how you feel. Might be surprised.
There you go. Number 4 is flexibility. Are you going to send me to a yoga class? Probably. But at the end of the day, I think we all feel it. Like when we don't work out or we're not as active, you can feel your body just stiffening up. And flexibility is such a key thing to pay attention to, especially as our bodies age.
Yeah, it's one of the number one detriments. And once you lose flexibility as you age, it's really hard to get it back. Your muscles have a certain amount of muscle memory, so to speak, in your joints. And so between water and flexibility, man, it keeps everything moving and it keeps, your cells active and engaged. So flexibility is a really big deal. It's a really, really, really big deal.
Yeah.
And yoga is a great outlet, but so is just, every day make stretching part of your experience. And you can Google for, great first morning stretches to make sure that you limber and loosen up things. Also, you'll avoid injury. I know that when I play tennis or pickleball or run around even biking, if I don't stretch, in advance, it's highly likely I tweak a muscle of sort along the way.
Of course. Well, round us out. Number 5.
Well, we skipped 3. You forgot cardio and weight training. That's on my list. So I still think physical activity is vital. So when your core is weak, it also stretches other parts. Everything's interrelated. It's, the body's a miracle machine. And when I know I'm not doing enough cardio working out, like for instance, I wake up with back pain or I feel pulls, and it's usually because my core is weakened. And that's, it's hard to strengthen the core without specific and targeted, workouts and strategies. And my advice there is to, follow a workout regimen, either like a Peloton where they've got online, active classes where they kind of coach you through proper technique. But even better than that would be a live trainer. Because they can tell you what to and not to do and how much weight and how many repetitions. They also blend and mix them to make sure you hit you get a more holistic approach to weight improvement or muscle improvement through weight training.
Perfect. Well, proof that we don't always rehearse as much as we do. I've got diet on my list as number 5. What number do you have diet as?
Well, I just realized I wrote 3 twice for water and cardio. So it was actually my fault.
Okay, so there we go. There are 6 things. So diet. At the end of the day, I think 80% of health is what we put in our mouths, and we can work out till we're blue in the face, but if we don't make that commitment to eat healthy and consume healthy things inside of our body, it's really hard to work out just to be healthy without that, but the diet aspect of it. All that being said, making those choices on food, how do you do that?
I mean, you make it less convenient to grab bad food. I mean, if I run down for a snack and, there's chips and dips and, available, I'm going to default to my mouth swishes, not necessarily my head and my heart, what I really need or want. So make it really convenient to have healthy snacks available and within arm's reach so that you aren't tempted. That's step 1. Step 2, probably some accountability when you're making your choices at dinner with your partner, your friend, or whoever you're with. Maybe commit to making healthy choices in advance and ask for their support. Because I know this, when my wife orders up something that's super tasty, I don't want food envy, so I end up going one step further or just buy that exact thing. And So, it's hard because, again, food tastes good and some of the less healthy choices appear best tasting, but you'll pay a price for it.
Yeah. And Rick, you made a comment. You said I should choose my food based on what my brain wants me to do, not what my mouth wants me to do. And it's just a good reminder to me. There's an old movie called The Miracle Man. And it was a guy that was in a plane crash. It was basically like a paraplegic, but his mind took over and figured out a way to heal his body. And it's such a powerful thing because this whole concept of health, we can talk about diet and exercise and flexibility and water and cardio and doctor visits and all this stuff. But if you don't work out that conversation up here first, that's the most important part of this, is figuring out how to connect your mind to your body. And when you do that, anything's possible.
Yeah. And then create an environment that supports what your mind wants and make sure that it's inconvenient to deviate from that committed path. Make it harder to cheat than to stay the honest course that you've chosen.
There you go. Rick Hale, Mojo Monday, my friend.
Mojo Monday. One asset you can't buy back is your health. Put it in your day planner. Make it happen.